Buenas, my name is Nanu Berks. We're here at Consensus in New York City. I'm sitting here with the CEO of the Swarm Fund. Philipp, how are you doing today?
I'm extremely well. I'm excited to be here. You know, it's an exciting time right now. You saw the lines outside. I mean, people are flooding in here to get to know what's going on with blockchain, and we're in the midst of it, so it's kind of good.
Absolutely, and during New York City Blockchain Week, which is really exciting. So I wanted to hear a little bit more about your former life, things you've been involved with, like traditional finance, and how you leaped over onto the blockchain space.
Yeah, so I mean, in my former life, because there's been two iterations, I was in the financial industry. I was actually sort of working for Deutsche Bank, did private equity for Deutsche Bank, then actually later was at Allianz Group, did portfolio investment there, and then frankly, I was bored by the financial industry, and I thought, I could do more things with my life, and so I started a technology company, ran that for 7 years as founder CEO, sold that, and then did some angel investing. And that too was for me a moment to say, well, my purpose in life cannot be to sell more ads, because that's what we did, and sell more things, but it was actually sort of, I engaged with accelerators like Singularity University and other companies to help them actually build interesting projects, and then I stumbled randomly because of a neighbor next door into the blockchain space, and that's a history that is 3 years old. And then suddenly, sort of Swarm, as a first iteration from this friend, actually got revived last year, and we pursued it, and here we are.
So what is the Swarm Fund? A lot of people think it's an investment platform, that there's so many angles to this platform: the community aspect, the shared distribution of influence in the space. So to you, in a couple sentences, what is the Swarm Fund?
So there's two levels to talk about here. One is actually sort of we have the mission to democratize investing. The beauty of the blockchain is to actually be able to bypass middlemen, and we are in the midst of actually allowing people that you normally would have not have access to certain investment opportunities, who would be disenfranchised because of different parameters in this, that they suddenly can. And with that also, we can bring other projects to life that normally would have not actually seen the light of day in the financial ecosystem. So it's a very, very exciting time to actually sort of, plug people more directly together, do that in a regulatory compliant way, and actually really tap into, financial institutional investors that, see this also as a novel approach to, fund stuff that they normally would have funded. So we focus on bringing projects into the blockchain that have a track record, that have some credibility, and make them accessible to be tokenized, and that has a clear benefit to it. But the second thing to talk about is actually that, the whole realm of the global community suddenly has a way to transact on value that normally was not the case. And I think that's been proven in the currency space, and we're just extending that concept into the assets that are, different in nature. They're more private, but basically we're extending that concept of commodity to a concept of assets.
Absolutely. As a community member, it makes a lot of sense to me to be able to be a part of the conversation. Just with contributing one token or whatever I have, I can just be involved in these things where I couldn't before. And that's really, my favorite part of working with you guys. And another thing is the moral compass. I feel like you really are grounded on making this better and using the technologies for conscious evolution and for actual change in the world. So thank you for doing that. And I want to hear a little bit more about the Puerto Rico projects that have been igniting lately. That seems really exciting.
Let me touch on some of the things that you said previously. I think it's really crucial to say that we built a governance that is really the governance and the ownership of the community that drives this platform. So in coming to things like we did in Puerto Rico, it was listening to what the community wants from us and how we can serve better the community. We are a nonprofit organization, so we're not trying to replace middlemen with another layer of middlemen, but really try to do it in a way that we empower the community to do all these things, and we're a service provider to that cause. So when we went into Puerto Rico, and I was there for the first time actually a couple of weeks ago, I was blown away by how devastated it still was and how much work there is still left to be done. And it was kind of astounding to see that the governmental institutions are not taking that role. So it's really exciting to see that we, by partnering with people that are locally there, could actually bring something together that has a role of a reparation fund that can actually bring community together to do something that they care about, and then with that obviously have an impact. And so we built this VSJ token that basically is an ability to contribute there. It's started off as a real estate opportunity where we bring the crypto community together to do things, but it can be extended into other realms, land ownership and other farming opportunities that are not just limited to San Juan.
Yeah, that's really exciting. One of them has to do with a farm that you can kind of vote on how it's going to be managed, or you can vote on the different parts of the building, how they're going to be used. How does that work?
Well, it all relates to governance, right? So if you can actually have a proper structured conversation with people that you don't physically know, it enables all sorts of discovery, because in the end people put money into something that they want to see flourish, and they have opinions how it should be flourished, and they might actually know that someone actually should be delegated that opportunity to do that. And so we're constructing it as an open equation there, starting with something that is very confined in real estate and it's very, very clearly parameterized. We know what the KPIs are there, but then leaving the opportunity open by showing the success there, that the community can then drive it into other regions, and farming being one of them. Actually, where does it go and what does it do then from there on? So it's very exciting to trial that, because it is somewhat of a social experiment in that sense, how that's going to unfold. But we're trying to structure it so that the community is not overburdened with these kind of tasks, but can actually sort of engage and retract if it's not needed to be engaged.
So how do you personally measure success, and how do you measure success with the Swarm brand and the Swarm Fund and the activity that you guys are promoting and acting on?
I mean, there's very clear success metrics that we obviously can say. I mean, the first one for us was time to market. After 3 months after doing a token offering, we were with product live in market, and not that we thought that was the perfect product, but we were actually exposing it to a market that could tell us how to improve it and how to do it better. Now we have the number of funds on it. Like we have 4, we have 37 in the pipeline. There's a tangible 9 that are coming to the market in the next 4 weeks, which is immensely high degree of dynamic that I didn't expect. Same applies to investors. We had 25,000 investors sign up within a couple of months. That is insane. I did not expect that to happen. And so, I mean, now the next metrics are very, very clear. How much impact can you have? How much money flow is there through it? How much engagement is there from the community in actually managing these opportunities? So it's very clear that metrics are not meant to be something that is self-serving, but real, tangible, and you can drive success with observing them.
How much of this process is education? How much of it is connection? There's like a few different things that we need to together bring forth for the community. So to me, a lot of decentralization movement has been about educating myself about what it means to reclaim the power into the community. So I know that with the content that you all are putting out, and the brand and the idea and having these conversations, how much do you feel like is educating the public, including the public, and the percentages?
Yeah, I think you're touching on something truly important. I mean, there's still a very big insider community that is doing most of the transacting in the blockchain space, but we live in a fortunate time right now, is that since mid last year, this wave has been building up, and again, we're talking about like the lines outside. I mean, there was, I think, 4,000 people meant to be coming here, and there's 8,500 that signed up, and they're all waiting outside. It shows that there's a pull, meaning that they want to learn something, and we saw this actually engaging in other conferences, that we did not expect that people would come to our booth with concrete ideas, and not just learning about blockchain, but they had ideas how to use Swarm to do certain things and asking about the boundaries and the limits of it. It was amazing. So we have a huge duty to serve that curiosity and fulfill something to become a tangible option. But yeah, there are broader swaths of people out there that don't know what the hell blockchain is and how to actually apply to it. So we have to create to bridge into that world, both from content but also from process perspectives.
I love that about the Swarm Fund, that I've just watching people come out to the booth. The answer is usually yes. They have an idea or they have a question. It's like, yes, this is how we can do it. That's exactly what we're aiming to, and everybody seems to be connected in the same way. I really like the idea of the board members circulating every 6 months. Could you speak a little bit more on that?
Yeah, so first of all, the community owns, the community votes, which means that actually the board, it's more a foundation, or it's more a council that is being created of 6 members that actually sort of go up for vote every 6 months. So that gremium renews by itself on an ongoing basis. All they do is actually they check whether the decisions being taken are conform with the purposes that we set out to do. So if there's some decisions being made and propelled by the community that actually don't fit the purpose of democratizing finance, the council steps in. But the council is not there to take active decisions. The council is not there to promote something of their own agenda, which is an observatory function, but it's a curation that is needed, obviously, to weed out what might go wrong.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we're all reflections of each other, and I think it's beautiful that you're open to really having an honest opinion and feedback from the community at all times. Like, the community is really engaging with each other in a way that is useful for us to keep our compass clear. So,
but it's exciting too, and it's a it's a noisy space. So you have to be sure that you have a control over that process in a way that makes it actually not something that just blows up in noise, but at the same time also can adapt to things that you discover along the way. So you can actually modify the process. You can actually modify the way that the engagement works, and we think we have a recipe for success there. Who knows? It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, it's a good combination. It's a good balance. Decentralization of power and ideas, and then bringing it back together into a container somehow. What are some of the things we haven't mentioned that you really want the community to know about or to engage with?
I think people don't necessarily realize how big of an effort actually there is of the institutional investor world trying hard to find the counterparties in this world to actually transact. Because as much as they don't want that to be known, but actually they know the deepest of their heart, they know that the capital markets in 5 years' time are going to look very differently. So if we can help that, if we can facilitate that in a way that actually gets capital and people engaged in a way that is fine with regulators and with legislative bodies, then I think we've done a huge service for the broader swaths of people that are sort of still believing in those institutions. So I think that as much as libertarian thoughts are really core to a lot of the community, you can't just live that life that way because there's existing institutions. So we're going to be doing a lot of work to cut through the red tape to make that compatible and not just be outlawed. But there is a bridging functions that we fulfill here.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to have people all over the spectrum, right, so we can work together. Thank you so much for being here. It's been wonderful.
Thank you so much, Nanu.